Hello there. Today I will be teaching you about some history, some mythology specifically. So thank you for requesting my services to tutor you on this subject, this fine subject. It is one of my favorite things to study about and to learn and to teach. So before we begin, I will describe to you the rundown about what we're going to be doing today and how we are going to be going about it. I also have a few books here I want to teach you about and use also as a reference or to cite sources, if you will. So these two books, we may not be getting into this because this one is a guide to modern paganism. Well, it's a modern guide to Norse paganism, which is the essential Asatru or Asatru. This one right here is about the Norse goddesses, gods, and heroes of the mythology. And this has all of the stories of the origins, the gods, goddesses, how things go about, the prophecies, Ragnarok, all of that stuff. So let's start off with teaching you a little bit about the origins, shall we? We're gonna make this very brief, okay? So first off, let me go over here. So Norse mythology. Nordic Scandinavian mythology is a body of myths belonging to the North Germanic people. The main gods of Norse mythology aren't just called gods or goddesses, they're called the Aesir. So the Aesir are pretty much the forefront of the gods if you were to look it up, or maybe if you look at modern pop culture and you see gods that like Odin, Thor, Freya, or Loki. You may see all of these gods in Marvel, perhaps, let's say Avengers. You see gods depicted here, but we will be talking about the Norse versions of that, not the Marvel versions. So let's start off with the Allfather. So Odin, or as a lot of people know him as Odin, is the god of war. He is also the father of the gods. He is the god of war and of the dead. So this is a little tidbit about him. You may have noticed this if you played games such as God of War. So Odin has just one eyeball. Now, the reason why he has one eye is because he sacrificed it to Mimir to be able to drink from the fountain of wisdom and knowledge and become the Allfather, become the God who knows, all of knowledge pretty much. Now, Odin also rules over Valhalla. Now, Valhalla is a hall of warriors, so when the time of Ragnarok comes around, all of these fallen soldiers who fell at war and ended up making it to the halls of Valhalla will be trained until the day and in the war of Ragnarok. So the next god we will be going to is called Heimdallr. This is also the god known as Heimdall. And you probably have seen this one from the Thor movies or Thor movies. This is the god who is the father of mankind and teaches them many things such as runes. And these are runes, by the way. So we're going to use the Asatru. So these right here are runes, right? Okay. These are what are symbols that are being taught to mankind. So this god is also a mysterious god who is linked with the Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life. And one interpretation of his name is the god who shines over the world, the one who shines over the world. So according to the 13th century Icelandic scholar and author of the mythological textbook, the Prose Edda, Heimdallr belongs to the Aesir family as a son of Odin and is known as the White God. Whiteness in Old Norse is being linked to beauty and uprightness. So next we're going to go over to the god that many of you know, and that is the most commonly used in America or Western culture, and this is Thor or Thor. So Thor is the Norse god of thunder, sky, and agriculture. I know a lot of you may think of this god only as thunder because of Mjolnir, the hammer that he wields. So no, he is also the god of thunder, sky, and agriculture. Now, a little fun fact about Thor is that when the day of Ragnarok comes around, which is the end of the world, Thor will be fighting Jormungandr, and that is the world serpent, the one who stretches all the way around the world where his tail meets his head. And he will be fighting this serpent and will actually be slain during Ragnarok. And a little other fun fact, if you would love to know, is that in this book, it tells you about the sons of Loki. Loki is the father of Jormungandr, the world serpent, as well as Fenrir, which is also known as Fenrir, the wolf. And the wolf also has sons, which are Skoll and Hari. Now, Skoll and Hari are like yin and yang, pretty much. You can think of them as yin and yang symbols. And Fenrir pretty much begins Ragnarok, because the moment he eats the sun, that's when it begins, and that's when it becomes darkness. And he breaks from his chains, which he is kept there, and the reason why Fenrir is kept chained up is because he's pretty much a threat to the gods. Giant wolf, very powerful. Actually, we're going to get back to Fenrir. He's on this list. So, we were supposed to be talking about Frigg. Now, Frigg is a goddess. So, Frigg, the goddess, one of the Aesir in Germanic mythology. So, in Norse mythology, the source about her is that she is a goddess associated with marriage. So, you can consider her the goddess of marriage or associated with marriage. Now, her name comes from the verb to love. Fridays are the days of the week are also named after her. So Friday is considered the best day to get married on. So if you're someone who practices the religion of Asatru in this book, you will know that Friday is a good day because of the symbolism behind Frigg, the goddess of marriage. Next up on the list is exactly who we were talking about a few seconds ago. Fenrir, the great wolf of Norse mythology, the one who breaks free of his chains at Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, kills Odin, and then is killed by Odin's son, Vidar. Fenrir is a son of the trickster god Loki and the brother of the world serpent, Jormungandr, and the Jotunhel. You know, these different animals are in fact siblings because they were birthed all by the same man or god, Loki. Now, Loki has a way with animals, and there is a very interesting story about him. So the story about Loki, which is one of my favorite stories because of its bizarreness, is in this book. So here's a little quick story about Loki. It starts off with a wall. Now, the gods, or the Aesir, wanted a wall built around their home, right? They wanted an impenetrable wall, very strong, very high up. And they found a giant that could fulfill this duty. This giant came to them and said that he'd be able to fulfill it with just him and his horse. Odin promised this giant whatever he wanted, whatever he requested, right? But this giant requested one of the gods, one of the goddesses, to wed the goddess. I believe it was Freya, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been Freya. But regardless, this giant wanted that, and Odin did not want that to happen. And something you should know about these gods and goddesses: they do lie, they do play tricks, they do scam, if you will, and it is more relatable, more realistic in the fact that they are beings, just godly beings. So Odin was not going with it, and Loki, that's when he stepped in and said that he has a way to prevent this giant from fulfilling the duty by the time it was supposed to be done. Now, the reason why this was done was because this giant was knocking down this job easy, horse and him, and Odin saw that this giant was almost finished. So that's where he needed Loki to step in. Now Loki transformed into a horse, a giant female horse at that, and was trying to swoon the giant's pet horse that was working with him. And then the horse fell for it and chased after Loki, disguised as a horse. Now, this giant horse was very fast, and Loki, unfortunately, was not as fast. Skip a couple of segments, and now there is an animal birthed from Loki, and it is a giant horse with many legs that Odin uses to ride around into battles, into wars, and whatnot. So that is an interesting story about this specific trickster god Loki. Let's get back into the gods and goddesses, shall we? Let's go to the god Freya. Now, Freya is the goddess associated with love, beauty, fertility, intimacy, gold, and I don't know how to say this last word, but you get the point of what Freya is the goddess of. Freya shared her people's penchant for the magical arts of divination, by the way, if you care to know about that. And another thing about Freya, in all sources, she is described as the wife of the god Odin. Now maybe that's why Odin did not want to give her up to the giant. You see, it's coming full circle. That is a little tidbit about Norse mythology. If you'd like me to talk about a little bit more, I shall do so. And we're going to review. So, let's see what you have here. Let me take this. Okay. That's nice. I like that. Okay. Oh, okay. I see you wrote ways to pronounce these names. Okay, that's good. Okay, I see. Iser. Okay. Tor. Okay. Okay. Yes. That's a good way. That's a good way to pronounce it. I guess you could say to write it down. All right. Let's see what you have. Yes. That is very correct. Okay. Great annotation and paraphrasing. That is very nice. All right, let me see. How about we change this? We're gonna change this right here to there we go. That's a little more fitting. Right. Don't want to get confused now. Yes. Yes. Okay. So it's a little interesting. It's Loki. It's not Loki or Loki or Loki. It's like Loa. Say it like Loa-ki. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to understand. So yeah, okay. Yes. All right. That's nice. Get this out of my ear. I can feel it at the top. Okay. That's really good. Okay, I don't think I have any quarrels with this. You did a good job. I like the Cornell note style. Very useful for note taking and my specific person. What am I saying? I will be seeing you same time next week, perhaps. And hope all is well in life. Hope you're enjoying life and drinking your water, being hydrated, whatnot, checking on your mental fortitude. So, with that being said, session is now complete. And I'll see you when I see you.